Hello everyone, welcome to the Abnormal Humans Being channel. I'm Dave. Today, I want to discuss the benefits of eating wheat bran and how it's deceiving health-conscious individuals. Let's talk about oats, scientific name, Avena sativa, discovered as far back as 2000 BC. Back then, oats weren't a staple food. It wasn't until AD 779 that the British began large-scale planting in lakeside areas and Scotland. However, for the most part, oats were still used as horse feed. Even if people enjoyed eating oats, they would only do so under unavoidable circumstances to satisfy hunger. In Greece and Rome, they even treated oats as weeds. It wasn't until the mid-19th century that an American businessman, Ferdinand Schumacher, launched a dietary reform movement in the United States. At that time, it was promoted that oats are nutritious and filling, making them more suitable for breakfast compared to meat. This was a time when the United States had many poor workers and gold diggers. Oats were very suitable for them. Oatmeal is super flat. It doesn't need to be washed or processed later. It can be eaten as soon as it is harvested. Then, at the end of the 19th century, several large oat processing companies were established and produced a breakfast cereal. After that, a lot of publicity came overwhelmingly, and gradually more and more people used oatmeal or cereal as their first choice for breakfast. So, the reason why oats can be used as feed for horses and then turn into a nutritious breakfast isn't that it has any nutrients itself. It's all because of the power of capital, which silently changed human living habits and made oats a popular product in the world. Now, let's look at the potential harm of eating oats. Oats have soluble fiber, which is not absorbed in the small intestine. So it can take away cholesterol. So if you only eat 1 or 2 tablespoons each time, it's really good for the body. But if you eat a big bowl, when too many things in the intestines are absorbed by the fiber of oats, the passage can get blocked. This is one of the main symptoms commonly seen in special clinics for hyperlipidemia. By the way, patients with hyperlipidemia should pay attention to eating more brown rice. Similar to wheat husks, brown rice is not easy to digest. So, there you have it, the contradiction between the advantages and disadvantages of oatmeal. It's not as straightforward as it seems, is it? So, it's like this. Eating certain foods can help control your blood lipids and sugar levels. But, ironically, they can also cause these levels to spike. It's a bit of a double-edged sword. These foods are packed with all sorts of minerals. But here's the kicker, your body ends up absorbing and flushing out many of the good stuff like iron, calcium, and protein. Why does this happen? Well, it's all because of something called phytic acid. This stuff is found on the surface of oats and in the outer layer of grains. It's a real party pooper because it stops your body from absorbing minerals like calcium, magnesium, copper, and zinc. This can lead to mineral deficiencies. That's why phytic acid is often called an anti-nutrient. Now, you might have heard people saying that eating wheat bran can lower cholesterol. That's because, compared to phytic acid, you and I are more nutritious. But here's the thing. If you eat too much unprocessed food, especially if you're on a raw seed/grain diet, you can end up with mineral deficiencies and nutritional issues like osteoporosis. A lot of nutritionists will tell you to eat more brown rice because they think it's more nutritious. But just because you're eating more, doesn't mean you're getting enough nutrients. Some folks eat too much and end up with systemic diseases and bloating. They might even experience mineral loss and malnutrition. And let's not forget about phytic acid. When it's not included in the diet, we absorb 20% more zinc and 60% more magnesium. But phytic acid can also irritate the intestines and cause leaky gut syndrome. This is when the intestinal mucosa gets inflamed and starts to leak. Bacteria, viruses, undigested food, and toxic substances can enter the blood and lymph fluid from the intestinal tract and spread throughout the body. This triggers an inflammatory response. Now, you might have heard that phytic acid has its own benefits. When it's metabolized in the body and completely dephosphorylated, it produces inositol. This has a synergistic effect on the anti-cancer effect of phytic acid. But here's the catch: humans and non-ruminants can't digest phytic acid. So, the system doesn't produce myo-inositol and there's no anti-cancer effect. So, there you have it. It's a complex issue, but I hope this helps clear things up a bit. People often say they want to be healthy and eat wheat bran. They're trying to lower their cholesterol or lose weight. But when you eat wheat bran and phytic acid, you end up with a lack of nutrients and trace elements. Your body will definitely pile on the fat to protect itself. The idea of wanting to lower cholesterol is actually a huge misconception in modern medicine. Talking about cholesterol could fill an entire video. Let's talk about eggs for a second. I used to eat breakfast and see people who only eat egg whites but not egg yolks. This kind of behavior can only be described in two words: big mistake. Back in 1937, two biochemists from Columbia University proposed that if we could avoid consuming egg yolks, we could prevent cholesterol from rising and stay away from heart disease. But fast forward to 1977, scientists overturned these findings. Even if you eat 15 eggs a day, your total cholesterol has little effect. In 1999, a Harvard professor surveyed 120,000 people on diet and heart disease. The study found no specific connection between egg consumption and heart disease. In 2013, the British Medical Journal published a meta-analysis integrating 17 studies involving 3.08 million people. The study found that egg intake has nothing to do with heart disease. In 2015, the United States began to revise its dietary guidelines and removed the recommendation to eat a maximum of 2 eggs per day. However, today's society still has a negative attitude towards cholesterol. The idea that high cholesterol foods like egg yolks should be avoided is deeply rooted in people's hearts. At the same time, many people think that cholesterol is either good or bad. But in fact, high and low-density lipoproteins, or cholesterol, just act as a transport vehicle. Low-density lipoprotein is responsible for transporting cholesterol produced by the liver to cells, nerves, tissues, etc. HDL is responsible for carrying cholesterol back to the liver. So, it's not actually a bad thing. If you have any bleeding, injuries, or ruptured blood vessels, and there's no LDL carrying cholesterol and proteins to repair, you would die. In addition, cholesterol is a raw material for making hormones, including sex hormones and anti-stress hormones. So if the cholesterol is too low, the problem is even bigger. Low cholesterol can lead to vitamin D deficiency, insufficient hormone secretion, leading to reduced libido, poor memory, dizziness, palpitations, decreased immunity, etc. You might even get depressed. Clinically, it has also been found that many cancer patients have low cholesterol. So cholesterol is important, and the body makes it on its own. In fact, 80% of the body's cholesterol is created by the body itself in the liver. Only 20% comes from food. So, there you have it. So, here's the crazy part. A lot of city folks believe that cholesterol is the bad guy causing blockages in our blood vessels. But in reality, cholesterol only shows up when blood vessels are injured. It's like a band-aid for our bodies. Imagine you see a band-aid on your buddy's knee. You wouldn't blame the band-aid for the injury, right? Same goes for cholesterol. It's not the villain here. The real problem is our high-sugar diets. They're the ones causing arteriosclerosis. Low-density lipoprotein, or LDL cholesterol, gets glycated and then oxidized by free radicals. Oxidized LDL cholesterol is seen as a foreign substance by our immune system, which then tries to get rid of it. The leftover waste gradually builds up on the blood vessel walls, making them thicker and less elastic, also known as arteriosclerosis. So, the value of oxidized low-density lipoprotein in a blood test is the best way to truly assess the risk of cardiovascular disease. It's also an important indicator for deciding whether to take blood lipid-lowering drugs. But here's the thing. If you blindly use drugs to reduce LDL concentration too low, it will affect the transport of cholesterol and block physiological activities that require cholesterol. Now, let's talk about food companies. They're making a killing off of you. You eat wheat husks, thinking they're healthy. But the more you eat, the less nutrients you absorb. The more you eat, the weaker and fatter you become. And if you have health problems later on, you'll have to see a doctor, which means more profit for medical institutions. And if your cholesterol levels are too low, approximately 160 milligrams per deciliter, you may experience depression, emotional problems, cerebral hemorrhage, and other issues. Then, you might end up in the psychiatry department. So, how do you maintain cardiovascular health? It all depends on what kind of oil you eat. We'll talk about that in the next video. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like our videos, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Your support means a lot. See you next time. Bye.